Hey guys, just wanted to share a few minutes about contemplation. Something about the contemplative life that is drawing me and beckoning me at the moment as I move towards sort of a more mystical or mysticism type faith journey. And I'm in a little spot here that is just quite an amazing little silent spot. It's like a big wave behind me here that just reflects some of the sound off the ocean. There's just this real stillness here in this place. It's just quite a incredible God spot, I reckon. I come here sometimes. I'm no contemplative by a long shot. My brain races 1,000 miles an hour, and to stop is kind of a strange and a rare thing for me. Even though my body doesn't move a lot sometimes, my head is always moving, and I am finding I'm kind of trying to battle with this to slow down a little bit. And so when I come to a place like this, sometimes I can just slow down a bit, enough to let the anxious thoughts settle and to move into a more reflective, quiet spirit space where I can listen and I guess refocus my attention off myself and onto the deeper, as I always talk about, the larger story. And I find that as I do this, as I sit in places like this, as I walk on the beach, as I sort of go around and just find these little spots here and there, there's just this sort of stillness that is just quite amazing. I'll just let you see if you can pick up on it. Can you feel that? It's just a little step down. I share this with some clients and stuff in my counselling or spiritual coaching practice that I work with people over the years, just doing bits and pieces, and I'm like, something just came to me some years ago that we're kind of all moving at a faster pace than the creative order, than the creation. And when you get to a place like this, you can feel yourself come down maybe like 30%, so your energy level comes down, your heart rate drops a little, you just kind of come to a more restful sort of space, if you like. Whereas when we're moving, and I certainly know for me, I'm kind of in it's almost like an agitated state. You're kind of like moving with this agitation, like you're sort of driven to move quickly or to get to somewhere, some sort of deadline. And as we do that, we kind of lose, and we're racing, always racing, and we never seem to be able to get to the end of that race. We get to bed at night, we crash, we wake up, and it's like bang, straight into it, the caffeine-induced lifestyle of the 21st century. And I'm wondering just what toll that takes on our bodies, on our spirit, on our soul. I know for me, it's like, as a person that struggles with energy, I really find that, this inner racing, the inner anxious thinking, monkey mind, as someone put it, is just so bad. It's terrible. And I don't have many deadlines in my life. I don't have any need to be racing, and yet here I am still racing around on, it doesn't make sense. It's not common sense. It's like craziness really for me, but I'm just kind of working. I've had, people share with me, and I've listened to, and I've got a good friend who loves the bush and who wants to get up in there. That's obviously you, Finn. You are an inspiration to me, mate. This friend, Finn, has taken me to the bush and slowed me down and showed me how to walk quietly and with stillness, something that's totally foreign to me. I remember some years ago, him and another couple of guys were going off to what they called a silent retreat, I think it was, or a silent walk or something. And they were heading up to the bush for like 2 or 3 days, where they were just going to be in silence until the night time when they gathered around the camp and were going to discuss, different things that came up to them in their spirits. And this was, I don't know how long ago this was, 5 or 6 years ago maybe. when he said to me about it, I said, oh mate, that would be my worst nightmare. Silence, just nothing, like just me alone with my thoughts. No, no. And having said that, now 5 or 6 years down the track, I'm feeling so much more comfortable with the silence and just myself. It's quite an interesting transition I've noticed over the years, just as I've gotten that little bit older and slowed down a little bit. I've noticed that I've sort of maybe appreciated more, particularly spaces like this. Is just, I don't know, it's just quite amazing, this place. It's the reflection of the ocean, which is about probably, I don't know, a couple 100 metres away, I suppose, but it's like a little sound tunnel here, this big cliff behind me, big wave. Just sets up a tone of silence and stillness, and something that I'm super keen to go towards, because I think to myself, what am I running around for? What am I I'm not achieving anything by running around, I can tell you, apart from more fatigue, more energy drain, more burnout. Maybe the same for you, like you just find yourself doing stuff driven, like why? As friends and I, we talk about this a lot. So why are we doing what we're doing? Like what is it that drives us? It's a really good question to ask. Why am I racing all over the place trying to get more done in my day when I'm finding very little value and satisfaction in it? Is it really helping the world to be a better place? Is it helping me and my family to be in a better space together? Am I, what's it really achieving? So I'm kind of just thinking through some of those things, and as I sit in places like this, it really becomes more and more evident that this is a place that, as many contemplatives over the years have found, this is a place where you really do hear from God inside your spirit. You get into that quiet spot, you can really sense the love that surrounds you. That's what I've found. The more I've stopped and slowed down, the more I feel loved, the more I feel accepted, and the more I feel, in a sense, a purpose too for the time that I am moving around. So it's almost like a bit of a paradox, to actually move forward you have to sit down and stop. It's a kind of a weird one, isn't it? But I guess that's the spiritual journey, isn't it? Full of paradoxes, full of these sort of tensions where it kind of doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. Shouldn't we just move more and get more done? But it doesn't work that way. It seems like we have to be still to truly know who God is and to know who we are in light of that, and how we're made, how we're created. What are we made for? What are we here? Like, those questions can bubble up in the times of silence. And yes, it is scary. Like me 5 or 6 years ago, my worst nightmare was being alone with my thoughts, because I couldn't sort them out and they were just overwhelming. Whereas now I've got some sort of clarity around those things, for the moment anyway. And it's so much nicer to be in the stillness, to start the day with stillness, and to come out from there, in a sense, to do the daily tasks in a much slower, less racing, anxious manner. If you could see going inside me so often, mate, it's horrendous in there, absolutely horrendous. And yet, as I'm sitting here right now, it's just sort of like this, it's like a transcendent peace, like on a deeper level. You might even hear it in the voice. It's a lot slower than usual. It's sort of like calmer. And I just think more and more, why don't I get into these spaces far and far more? Again, I seem to be my own worst enemy. Maybe you are too, and isn't that the way? But we can find these spaces, we can find these places within us, even if we don't have a beautiful piece of bush to go to like this. There's a place where you can go within yourself, I'm sure of it, to find more of a restful, contemplative part of yourself, to get down deeper into yourself and to get to know you in relation to the whole. Anyway, that's my rantings for today. Enjoy.